So let's start with this whole situation around Gyptian. Now, many of you probably remember that years ago, Nicki Minaj actually jumped on a remix of one of his songs. It wasn't something that blew up on official streaming platforms at the time, but fans definitely knew about it. Fast forward to 2025, and suddenly Gyptian is out here throwing major shade at Nicki. In this recent interview, the host asked him a pretty simple question. Did Nicki being on your song help your career? Now, instead of just brushing it off with something like, well, not really, and moving on, he went in a totally different direction. He claimed that it was his song that helped put Nicki Minaj in the spotlight. And that's where things got wild. Because think about it. He's making it sound like his remix is what built Nicki Minaj's entire career. Like without him, there would be no Nicki. That's just absurd. Nicki has proven time and time again that her rise came from her own work, her own hits, and her own grind. Yet here we are, with Gyptian implying that his track is what made her. And this isn't even the first time we've seen this kind of thing. Whenever Nicki collaborates with people, there always seems to be this weird sense of entitlement afterward. People start expecting her to go above and beyond for them in ways they'd never expect from other artists. Maybe it's because she's too approachable at times, too friendly, and that gives people the wrong idea. They start believing she owes them more than she actually does. But let's be real. What exactly was Nicki supposed to do for Gyptian after that song? Was she supposed to carry his whole career on her back? It's unfair to blame her just because his career didn't blow up the way he thought it would. Meanwhile, Nicki kept grinding, kept stacking up chart-topping tracks, and became one of the greatest rappers of her generations. When Gyptian says his remix put Nicki on the map, you really have to ask, what map? Maybe he meant the Caribbean map, but globally? No way. Nicki's success comes from her undeniable catalog of hip-hop hits, her work ethic, and her star power. Trying to rewrite history and claim ownership of her rise is just plain ridiculous. This whole thing? Honestly, it's insane. All right, let's shift gears and talk about advocate BBL. Now, one thing about her is that she has mastered the art of projecting confidence online. On the surface, she comes across as bold, unbothered, and even a little threatening, constantly reminding people that she's the bream and making sure that energy is felt whenever she's tweeting. But here's where it gets interesting. Behind the scenes, she doesn't always carry that same energy. Instead, she has this pattern of reaching out privately to the same women she publicly beefs with. After dragging them on social media, she'll pick up the phone, call them, and try to smooth things over with a so-called amicable resolution. And honestly, that leaves you scratching your head. Like, how do you talk tough in front of everyone, then slide into private conversations looking for peace? And it doesn't stop there. What makes it even more ironic is how she circles back to Twitter afterward saying things like, "Oh, you weren't saying that when I was talking to you?" But let's be real. She's the one who reached out first. That double play is what keeps people questioning her authenticity. Now, this latest situation actually came to light while I was scrolling through Twitter, thanks to the page Got the Scoop. If you follow them, you already know they're really tight with Jatavia, to the point they even call each other sisters. And the post they dropped was loaded. It read, "Stand on each hoe. Always wanting to get on calls after starting in public. Access denied. Ain't no fun when the rabbit got the G." That was the exact message. And it says a lot. And here's the thing about Got the Scoop. If you've been following that page for a while, you know they rarely miss. They have a reputation for dropping cryptic posts way before the bigger stories hit. They'll leave little hints and pieces of information that later turn out to be spot on. Whether it's subtle jabs, coded tweets, or inside tea, they usually know what's happening behind the curtain. In fact, this isn't new. They were one of the first to subtly allude to advocate BBL's pregnancy long before it became public knowledge. They didn't come out and say it directly, but if you read between the lines, the clues were all there. So when they speak up now, it's clear. They're not just guessing, they're plugged into what's really happening in the background. Now, if you follow the connections here, you'll notice something important. Advocate BBL and Jatavia are actually really close. They even refer to each other as sisters. And because of that bond, I honestly believe there might be some insider truth to the idea that Advocate BBL has been reaching out, trying to patch things up with JT. It looks like she's been attempting to end this back and forth privately, hoping for some sort of peaceful agreement, but the reality is JT isn't backing down. She's not interested in playing the peacemaker role right now. And honestly, that's where the contradiction in Advocate BBL's behavior really stands out. Because how does it make sense to act like the toughest person online, tweeting with all that confidence, only to then go behind closed doors and call the very same people you're dragging? It feels like she's putting on a performance for social media, building this image of being untouchable, hard, and unbothered, when in reality, she's trying to smooth things over quietly in the background. And that's confusing. Who exactly is she trying to convince? The fans herself? Because the truth always comes out eventually, and the tough girl act starts to look shaky when the private calls leak through the cracks. And let's be honest, it looks exhausting. On one hand, she wants sympathy. On the other, she wants to play the role of the fearless Rough Rider. But at some point, you can't be both. You can't drag people publicly for clout and then expect compassion privately. And honestly, sometimes you just want to say, "Girl, sit down." Meanwhile, JT is still going full throttle. She's not letting this slide at all. And honestly, that fiery energy is classic Sagittarius behavior. She's standing her ground and throwing shade right back. Here's how it went down. Someone tweeted at her saying, "You've been forming at the mouth for 3 days in a row. Give it up." And JT clapped back with, "I'm not, but your fave is in fact forming out of her behind. Match it." Then another fan chimed in saying, "OMG girl, it's been like 3 days now." And JT replied, "It's going to be 3 years. Buckle up," and she didn't stop there. She also said, allegedly, "But your favorite should have actually got one ninja stay having her behind crying like she's at a funeral. I'm seated for the spaces about that new baby daddy walkie-talkie coup, JT. So yeah, JT is still going hard, and it doesn't look like she's slowing down anytime soon. Some of you mentioned you think this whole situation might be staged, like just another publicity stunt. But the silence coming from Advocate BBL right now says otherwise. If this were fake, she'd probably still be playing into it. Instead, she's quiet, which makes it pretty clear she doesn't want more smoke with JT. And honestly, who would? JT has made it very obvious that she's about that life, and she's not backing off. So now I want to hear from you. What do you guys think about all this? Do you believe this is genuine drama, or is there still a chance it's all for show? Drop your thoughts in the comment section, because this one is messy. All right, let's move on to the next big topic, Doja Kid's new album, which officially drops tonight. This is a huge moment because she's stepping fully into her pop era, and everyone is curious to hear what kind of sound she's about to bring to the table. Personally, I'm excited to see how this chapter unfolds, but not everyone feels the same way. From what I'm seeing online, a lot of people aren't impressed with the rollout. They feel like the energy around the release has been too quiet, almost like it's missing that extra spark. The complaints are that she should have done more promo, created more buzz, or given fans something louder to latch on to. But here's where I think people are getting it twisted. It feels like fans are starting to confuse talent with drama. Somewhere along the line, the standard for an album release shifted. Now people expect artists to come with a spectacle, wild stunts, controversial headlines, or even messy personal reveals, just to get attention. Back in the day, artists could roll out albums with minimal fuss. The music spoke for itself, and that was enough. But now people expect theatrics. Like someone announcing a pregnancy in the middle of chaos or dropping an album while caught up in some relationship scandal. Honestly, it's exhausting. Not every rollout has to come with fireworks, and it's unfair to put that kind of pressure on artists who are just trying to focus on the music. Now here's where things get interesting. It's been revealed that SZA is going to be featured on the album. That caught everyone's attention because, not too long ago, there were strong rumors that SZA had turned down the chance to appear on Advocate BBL's project. So naturally, fans are raising their eyebrows. They're asking, wait a minute, how is it that SZA supposedly declined to be on Advocate BBL's album but ended up on Doja Kid's album instead? Is this shade? Is there some hidden tension here? To make things even spicier, Doja Kid herself confirmed that SZA's appearance was a last-minute addition to the track list. That revelation has only fueled speculation further. Because now people are wondering about the timing and what it really means for the relationships between these artists. So, as the album drops tonight, all eyes are on the dynamics between Doja Kid, SZA, and Advocate BBL. Is it just business? Or is there some quiet shade being thrown in the background? Either way, this is going to make the release even more interesting to watch. And honestly, looking at everything we just talked about, from Gyptian throwing shade at Nicki, to Advocate BBL's behind-the-scenes drama with JT, And now Doja Kid stepping into her pop era with that surprise SZA feature. One thing is clear, the industry is never quiet. There's always a new storyline, always a twist, and the fans are the ones connecting the dots. But here's the real question. What do you think? Was Gyptian reaching with those Nicki comments, or does he actually believe that Remix gave her a push? Do you think advocate BBL is playing both sides too much, acting tough online while begging for peace in private? And what about Doja Kid's album? Is SZA's feature just business, or does it say something bigger about the tension with advocate BBL? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know you guys always catch things I might miss. And trust me, I'll be watching to see how this unfolds. Until next time, stay tuned, because this drama isn't slowing down anytime soon.